Hello everybody. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us today for the final round of the Classic Day Championship. And it will be a feature-length race today around the Noordschleife. As a feature-length because normally, as I discovered when I recorded race 6, and if you haven't seen that, you can find that on my YouTube channel. Normally we do 30 minutes, but today, because it is a Noordschleife, and it is very long, it is very, very long. As you see the fastest time here, there's only one time set, nearly 8 minutes. Because of that, we just extended the race. Just 10 minutes. Should be enough for a very nice race today. And if the past few races have been any indication, then should be in for a show today. Now, we don't use the 24-hour layout, so it is without the Nürburgring, the Grand Prix circuit. It is simply the long and treacherous part of the Noordschleife. I'm not saying that Nürburgring isn't treacherous. Honestly, if you've driven it, there's a couple of places where you can very easily lose it. But the Noordschleife is even more abundant. If you've been watching the footage before I went live, you'll see that it's a very tricky track. It's very hard to get it optimal. In fact, it's very hard to finish. It's very easy to make a mistake and crash. You can see Mixlife here, champion of the Classic Day Championship. He claimed it in the previous race from the start on, but he went on to drive an amazing race. And with the comfort he has with these cars, I'm sure he loves the Nürburgring. It's a very easy track to love. The Noordschleife, that is. And today you can see how he throws his car around, and it's definitely something we will be keeping an eye on. Because at some point I'm gonna have to give you a tour of the Noordschleife, and I'm gonna come clean and admit something here. I'm not that big of a fan of driving it myself, in the sense that I don't do it much, and I'm not too experienced with it, in fact. You can see, if I pull up the map, the graphics unfortunately aren't very good, and it shows the Grand Prix circuit on the bottom left there. See how far apart the drivers are. We won't see this in the race. This is just an artifact of practice, everybody starting at different times to see how slowly the dots move. We will not be looking at this map very much. That is roughly the size you need to be thinking. So, as I like to do, we'll have a quick look at the standings. Let me bring up the championship table for you. Now, Mixlife, of course, on top. Dominant performance, 93 points, but it's not like he has nothing to race for today. There is still the goal, the intrinsic drive, perhaps, to reach 100 points. Now, all he needs for that is 7 points, which I think is P5. Mixlife hasn't finished P5 yet. His worst finish was in Adelaide with a P4. And other than that, he's finished on P3, I think, in Monaco. That was his only time doing that. And he's won literally every race. So there's something for him to fight for. Don't make too many mistakes, and mistakes on the Noordschleife can be extremely punishing. So even more important to be absolutely squeaky clean. But below that, that is something we're going to watch out for. Dustin and Stepan. Now they are both here today. They haven't set a lap yet, so we can't compare them. They are both here today. And we will be seeing how they stack up against each other, and it will be practically a straight up race for the win. Assuming they both end on the podium. If it's If one of them ends below that, if one of them ends, or if they both end below that, it could be a tie. In which case, I believe it goes to Dustin. Yes, because he has more second places. He's finished second 3 times. Stefan only twice. They both won exactly 1 race. There's something to look out for. Dustin does have the advantage in case of a tie. Also something to keep in mind. The difference is 1 point. Cavalo is in P4 relatively solidly. 9 points behind Stepan. 6 points ahead of Wujek. Gonna be hard to beat for Wujek, and it's not gonna be easy for him to overtake Stepan either. So likely secured 4th. Wujek and Schwarzfahrer. Now let me double check. Wujek is here today, Schwarzfahrer of course here today. Well, the organizer has to be. Again, 1 point difference. And in case of a tie, now I'm gonna have to look very carefully. In case of a tie, I think Wujek has it. He has 2 third places. Excuse me. 2 third places. Schwarzfahrer only has 1. I know Runelink is not here today, hasn't been here for the last few races, unfortunately. The Kushti, any points today will be enough, and he is not here today, it seems. So that is unfortunate for him. You can see Vilstein P9 also not here today, but Metal Sim VR has a chance to overtake Vilstein. All he needs is 2 points. I think that's well possible. In fact, he could shoot all the way up to 7th with a good result today. Decent at least. Now, it is a very big table, mostly because of how many people have joined at least 1 race. We decided to show all of them, even those that joined but haven't finished. It's just nice to kind of, it's not honor, like they didn't pass away, but to acknowledge their presence in the championship and that they have done one of these races. Even if you don't finish, these cars are sufficiently difficult to credit you with just trying. Trying can be enough. And we do see Mick Schleifer on top, dominantly, 7:33. Now that is the mark of somebody who knows what he's doing. He's 12 seconds faster than Cavalo. Ulberman, I think, was the first to set a lap. 22 seconds slower, but it's decent. Well, being the first to set a lap, and he's going to finish another lap here, because this is the start-finish straight that we're looking at here. Let's see if he improves. He very well might. And he does. Not enough for a position, and he decides not to correct the car. I don't think we'll see many people finish their last lap unless they're on the final bit of it. Otherwise, it's going to take a long time. You see Flavor Dave there, battling with the car ahead. It's hard to see who it is. I'm not going to look for it. There he goes. I do notice a couple of messages coming my way. So please excuse me while I have a look at that. Alright. Excuse me, if you heard steam noises, that's not you. That was somebody accidentally invited me to a game of Rocket League. Yeah, it happens. That's okay. In fact, I'm going to set myself to offline one moment. Yeah, I hope you're all sitting comfortably today. It will be a slightly longer running than normally. But that is all really. Just 10 minutes. There we go. Alright. I've resolved the notification issues. Oh, we do see somebody going very wide there. And the wall is very close to the track. I think we still have damage. I didn't personally see any conversation about disabling it, so I assume it's still on. That's very possible. Babydev is still driving, and that is his right for sure. Also see Dustin and Stepan getting the last little bit of practice, of course. They are in a championship position contention. P2, of course, is the next best thing after P1, which is literally impossible for either driver to attain. So it's something they will be fighting for as hard as they can. They're just getting comfortable with these turns. There's the North Life again. It's very important to be comfortable here. The track isn't very wide. The grass kind of just pulls you in if you start hitting it. And the walls aren't very far from the track. You see a new little thing, but it's behind the UI, so I can't really see it, but it's up you can see like race complete. Not a race, it's practice. But that is new, I haven't seen that before. Has there been an update? I don't know. Yeah, Flavor they've parked the car, we do see Dustin still driving. Theoretically it is his right, but that might take us up to 5 minutes. And if we look on the track map, let me pull it up, see how far they are. Dustin's coming up to the start-finish straight. And then Stepan is a little bit further behind. Now that's not the start-finish race, excuse me, that's the back straight. It is incredibly long. Not sure if it's the longest straight in all of racing, but it might be. I don't know. Well, that is one of those banked corners. You've got two of them. One of them is Carousel and the other one is the one we just went through. I don't know the name of. And then here you enter the long straight, and if you look from the cockpit at how grim the view is, it is misty and apparently a little bit late in the day, but it is a very long straight, and it is, well, basically the view for a good couple of seconds. You can collect your thoughts, decide what you want to have for dinner, call your dad, tell them you love them, and then here you kind of have to turn in, ask your mom how she's doing, and then here you have to start focusing, because not only are you turning a little bit, the car can handle it, you're also braking for these corners, and these can be very tricky. They sneak up on you, that is a problem. And then through that corner, tight 90 degree, and the wall is on the apex. Gotta be careful of that one. Dustin finishes lap, it's a 7:48. Stepan is still driving. He's on the same long straight. Now, it's a very good question what he is thinking here. Pretty sure all of these drivers have already had dinner, so they don't need to think about that. Maybe dinner for tomorrow, or the day after. Basically, you can plan a day of dinner per lap, which I think is an excellent feature that more tracks should have. And Stepan actually, very smart, practices pit entry, because we can't forget, you still have to make a stop. Still mandatory to make a pit stop. And if he is the only one to have practiced that, then he might be having an advantage. I don't think so. I think more people practice that in private sessions, offline, whatever. Maybe even during the session we may have missed it. Yeah, there we go. Qualifying it is. I'll delete the overview. I think it's a bit in the way. Waiting for Mick Schleifer to go and drive out. I have seen Schleifer maybe wanting to start in the back. We'll have to see about that. And if he does, do put in your bets where you think he is going to finish. As Wojciech now drives out with his rival right behind, Schwarzfahrer, who immediately teleports back to the pits because I think he didn't like something about the setup, was maybe trying something out, maybe didn't like it. Regardless, he is back and Wujek is still going on his outlap, and it's a very long outlap. Thank you very much to Engine Fan for following me. Always appreciate it when people do that. Don't do a lot of these streams. This one's the last one in the series. But always nice to see people enjoying it when they are on. It's a very, very long outlap, so basically just grab a cup of tea or coffee. It's just going to be an outlap and a straight up run for it. Because a lap is about 7.5 minutes, and 7.5 times 2 will be exactly 15 minutes. Your first outlap will not be as fast. They will definitely go over, even if just by a little bit. I think we saw Mick Schleifer do a 7:33, which would not even be enough. And he isn't even driving, so... Oh, he is now. There you go. Let's quickly look on the map to see where everyone is. You can see people are a lot more clumped up now. See where Dustin is. Well, he's one of the first to go out. He's actually only second on the track so far. So there is... Well, there's a lot of space ahead of him. There's a lot more people behind him. Now, there's a thing with qualifying, especially if you play Automobilista 2 and you join open lobbies, you'll be acutely aware of the problem. You don't even have to be on Nordschleife to feel it, but on Nordschleife you will feel it even more. And in Formula 1, people feel it as well. If you start your qualifying lap, you have to make sure that you have space behind you, maybe, but mostly ahead of you. Simply because if you are faster than the driver ahead, if a driver ahead makes a mistake, you will be faster. If you're faster than the driver ahead, you might catch up to them. Now, if you are driving with people at about your pace, up to maybe 2 seconds slower, then 2 seconds in theory will be good. If you are in a Vanka, you account for dirty air. You see, doesn't go back to the pits. If you are in a Vanka, you have to account for dirty air. You have to account for maybe some other things. So you take a little bit more space. The dirty air is quite severe, so that's why generally there's a lot of space. Now in these cars the dirty air won't be so bad, but it is Nordschleife, and we saw earlier that the difference in lap times can be like half a minute. I don't think it will be exactly half a minute. I think maybe even less than that in total. Let's see if Mick Schleifer doesn't do a lap. That'll make it slightly easier. It's very possible. It's very possible that a driver ahead of you makes a mistake and you will catch up to him. At which point you have a problem. Either you overtake or you accept that you're going to lose time. Which is two things you don't want to do, but if you're a driver, your instinct says overtake. And that could ruin 2 laps right there. As in your own lap and the lap of the driver you're trying to overtake. It's very, very important for this driver to find a lot of space around them. And to exacerbate the issue, because we're not done yet, what makes it worse is that they only have 1 lap. Whether they go on the grass 5 times, they half spin on a curb, as long as the lap is not invalid, they're going to want to finish the lap. Because if you finish a lap, you will always be better off than those who either invalidated a lap or were not able to finish the lap. So even if you're the driver ahead of you makes 5 mistakes, goes on the grass, has a good smell of the flowers, if his lap is not invalid, it's going to be a problem. If it's invalid, there's a good chance he just pulls over, retires to the pits, gives up, throws his gloves against the wall or something. Whatever they might like to do in frustration. And then you are lucky and you can just drive on. So Wujek will be the first to settle up. And he's still not even close to finishing his out lap. ETA probably around 3 minutes. Now let's have a look at Schwarzfahrer. We have him here today. Actually, this is a perfect moment for me to go through the drivers. We've got Ulberman. Ulberman has joined 2 races so far. Been pretty decent with it. I remember that in Adelaide, coincidentally, I think it's the last race he actually joined. In Adelaide, he was pretty consistent, I think is a good way to call it, especially at the start. Didn't quite have the pace, but it was up there consistently. And honestly, in these cars, that's impressive enough. I've got Flavor Dave, personal favorite, because the name just rolls off the tongue. It's been pretty decent. Good flavor. And definitely one we will look out for during the race. I assume everybody practiced a little extra for this race, in fact, because it's such a classic. I assume maybe the orders are a little bit different, or maybe people are a little bit closer. We'll see. Metal Sim VR has shown excellent pace. Hasn't been in the season for long, but he has shown that he is capable of fighting for good positions. Consistency, I think, has been his weaker point. Maybe that's different today. He has good affinity with this track. And Mick Schleifer doesn't need an introduction. The game agrees, because it doesn't even show the car behind the trees. There we go, thank you very much. He's the man to watch. Honestly, probably going to take pole and win. But the most fun races are when that is not the case. A very good driver. Oh, but you see, he's not perfect. This is not an AI driving. Or this is, depending on your opinion on how good AI drivers actually drive. Triple L's. I know he has the pace. Just has to show it. I think he has a couple of times. G-Foil. He is driving today as well. Been a relatively late entry to the championship here today again for the finale. Schwarzfahrer, one of the organisers, is about to start his lap, in fact. Won't watch him. We'll probably watch Dustin for his lap. But Wujek is here. He has to fight Schwarzfahrer for a proper position. Schwarzfahrer actually, it said a lap time, but it's mostly because there's a small glitch I'll explain in a moment. We've got Dustin here, and he is not through anywhere close to starting his lap, so we'll probably ignore him for now. Stepan has just started his lap, has just entered the first few turns. Then we've got Cafalo all the way in the back, will be the last to set a lap. Let's see, who is the next one to start a lap? We'll follow him. I'm very sorry, I just cannot find that one little dot. There he is. It's actually, would you believe it, the man, the myth, the legend, in the cockpit for a I have been debated. I have been utterly debated today. That doesn't feel good. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not angry. That is just the way it is. Let's just have a quick look at those who have started a lap yet. Metal Sim has actually just started his lap, just gone through turn 1 and into turn 2. And it starts with a nice set of S's, and here you start to line up for a very tricky turn. A right-hander, a very long one. And then the track continues. There's a lot of parts of the track that you think you can take flat out. And maybe you can if your car is grippy enough. No Formula 1 car absolutely destroys this track. It is very fun to drive, but not entirely safe. And it's all about finding the right places to brake and performing when those moments come up. That is easier said than done. Sim makes it look fairly simple, but even in these sections, it's easy to mess up. It's a lot easier to get this car into the wall than keep it out of it, that's for sure. Unless, of course, you go on a twist and fart, but that's not what we are doing today. We are racing. Now you see, small error there from Sim, lining up on the right instead of the left. That is fine. Honestly, the lap is so long and you only have one shot at it. If you try to force to be perfect, you will make bigger mistakes than that, and that will cost you a lot more time. Now this is a very, very slow section. It's deceptively slow, in fact, because it's this bit where you have to turn left again. It's a 90-degree one, and into this one, you have to get on the throttle at the right time and have a good exit. I think then again it's a long bit, not that long, a decent bit of full throttle line for this corner and the next which are proper corners. The brake lights turn on. And just through there. A couple more turns here and there. You'll notice this is not your regular Silverstone or Interlagos track. This is basically a multi-lap rally track, if I am free to call it that. Not sure if that's an insult, if people will go after me with torches. Oh, you see G4 has retired. I'm not sure, I don't... Oh, he may have finished his... No, I don't think he has finished his lap, so unfortunately, that is probably an invalid lap time, maybe a big crash as a result. A retirement. Keep on driving with a G-foil, uphill, right-hander, very nicely done, makes it look deceptively easy yet again. We do actually have a new person joining, it's Boba Fett. Not sure if he has joined a race previously with us. Let me quickly double check that. I don't think he will have. So of course, welcome to join us here today. We'll not be able to set a lap because it's just no time, to be honest. That is giving us a good view of this track and how challenging it really is. You can see it much better from the cockpit. This track is not very wide, and he uses that little bit of concrete there on the edge for an optimal line. I'm not sure how necessary that is, but it is stylish, and I think we're happy to have seen it. Braking for the corner is so important. I think he left it a little late, and that is so easily done on the Nordschleife. There's not really super clear braking indicators. Generally, I think you just look at the wall and like brake when it feels fine. Or look at the curbs. Curbs can be a very good indicator. You don't count the squares, you just see where they start and time it based on that. Ooh, a little wide there, has to take to the AstroTurf, but no damage done there. Wide exit onto those curbs. Through here. The very technical section. And one of these, this might have been a YouTube corner. One of them is a corner famous for videos being posted on YouTube, specifically of people driving through that corner. Specifically twist and farten. Where you can see people have very stupid crashes because they do I think that was this one. Because they do very, very stupid things, and sometimes it's just really cool to see very cool cars drive through there. Of course, when you do go to the Nordschleife and you want to take a twist and fart, please drive sensibly, follow the traffic laws in Germany, and you actually have to drive on the right the whole time. You have to indicate if you overtake. You're on a public road. That's just what you have to do. Well, Metal Sim has actually just gone through Sector 2. She's 7 seconds up. That's not surprising, because that was his outlap he's comparing to. There's nevertheless a decent benchmark, but Dustin looks to be faster than that on his outlap still. Flavor Dave has just set his time. It is a 7:42.5. That is one of the benchmarks. Metal Sim will be looking to beat that. Schwarzfire has just beaten it, but it's incredible, ladies and gentlemen. There's a gap, because the gap is 6,000ths of a second. These men drove a huge lap in Germany. Around the castle even. See on the right. Around the forest. Took them 7 minutes 42, and the difference is 6,000ths. That is insanity. That's the equivalent of two people throwing a needle and having it land in exactly the same place. Here we go through the last few corners. So kill so much speed there. Let's go through it safely. That will be more important than doing it quickly. Let's be honest to ourselves. Now Metal Sim crosses the line. Where does he end up for now? In P1. 7:39.0 it is. Trackside camera for Dustin then. We do see Dustin hasn't set a lap time yet. Stepan, I think, just finished his lap, but ooh, that is not good enough, Stepan. That is a 7:48. That is quite far down. Dustin is still in the race for a pole position here. Schwarzfire and Flavor Dave are behind. They finished the laps. Triple L has to settle for 5th at best. Cafalor is also still driving. Not sure if that car is doing very well though. And Boba Fett, well, will be doing an outlap. I'm not sure if it's going to count. I did say earlier I would explain the bug, and while we are on this long straight, I have plenty of time to do that, so let's do that. What happens is, the first time you go out, the game will not let you set a time. But if you immediately reset the pits, and then you go out again, you can set a time. That's the bug. That's the whole bug. It's a bit weird. It can definitely give you a competitive advantage. It's just the way it is. But yeah, Dustin will be neglecting that competitive advantage here by setting his lap time proper. What will it be? Will it be faster than Metal Sim? It is not. It is an improvement, but only by 3/10, which again, with the needles and the same place, it's impressive. It's not fast enough. Metal Sim VR has a pole position as it stands, but we're not done yet because Cafalor is still driving, going through the last few corners, in fact. Let's see where he ends up. Car is worse for wear, so it might be a little underwhelming, but let's not shoot down the picture before it has taken off. Across the line he goes. He's actually 3rd. Cafalor with a 7:42. 3 seconds behind Metal Sim VR, who takes pole position for the final race around the Nordschleife. Again, a very interesting qualifying. You can see that the times are kind of all over the place. Don't pay too much attention to that. Although if you are driving competitively, you want to look at these. You want to see, what is my weakest sector? Where can I improve? Nordschleife is not the best track for that. It is just so long. Every sector is so long. So it's very hard to figure out exactly where you are stronger and weaker. You need so much experience on this track because your basis needs to be good before you can really use these kind of indications. You can try to find tenths in sector 2. If you're 3 seconds off in sector 1, you should probably just keep driving. I don't know what we are waiting for right now. If we are getting anything in chat, nothing for now. I've requested that I asked if the server is okay. Because it is stuck here for me. Quickly give me a moment. Oh, no, there we go. Alright, we're back. Took a little while, but yeah, here we are. So, the grid was off on the back. Wojciech has been unlucky. He didn't settle up, but he's randomly decided to be last. Dr. Two-Face is 12th. Not sure if he's gonna race. He's might be streaming this in German. If you like the German language, you can watch him. Very much recommend. But Mick Schleifer, who decided not to qualify and debated me. Boba Fett, who joined late. We've got G-Foil and P9. Didn't manage to settle up competitive lap, unfortunately. Stepan, unfortunately for him, that's 8th. And he needs to beat Dustin today, who is in 2nd. So that's going to be difficult for him. Ulberman in P7. And we've got Triple L's in P6. Flavor Dave is 5th. And then we've got Swartfire in P4. Then the top 3, Cavalo is in 3rd with a mega lap at the end. And we've got Dustin in 2nd, and Metal Sim VR has taken pole position and will be starting from the lead. And also keep in mind that Svartvar in P4 is in contention for position with Wojciech, who's currently in P13. Now the laps are long, the race is longer than normal, so anything can happen. Turn off the overview. 30 seconds and then we'll start. In fact, maybe less than 30 seconds if everybody presses ready. But that's up to the drivers. I hope you are ready for the race, because we are about to start. There we go. Lights go on. And they go out together. It's a very, very good start from Dustin there. Just as I switched to him. And he's immediately up into the lead. It's not a very long run, but he had very good reaction times there. And Metals in VR has been left to dry. Quickly gonna check the... Oh, and there's immediately a mistake. I believe Cavalo has hit the wall. I think that is an unforced error there. And that will be damage to his car in a very long lap until he can repair that. That is so unfortunate. Wojciech had a monster start all the way up to P8 already. Svartfire in P3 though, also a very good start for him. Triple L's in P4. He will be happy with that. Very close behind Svartfire though, so there's more to gain for him there. Cavalo has to defend against Ulberman as Triple L's takes to the grass. Flavor Dave behind those. And Wojciech is chasing them with a little bit of distance between them. Ulberman has also made a mistake, unfortunately into the wall, and conceding a lot of time and a bunch of damage on top of that. Let's keep a look at Schwarzfahrer because he is leading a pack. But actually, as I say that, Metal Sim VR is on the tail of Dustin, and these two might be fighting for the lead for a while to come. I do notice that we have lost Stepan. Unfortunately, that does mean that he will be finishing third at best in the championship, and that means that Dustin has virtually secured second place. Not entirely sure if Cavalo goes on to win this, then you know, very crazy things could happen, but it seems to be that Dustin will take it. Sim is really pushing, but this is a very difficult track to overtake. See, Stepan had a weird view at the start apparently, so we're gonna have a look at that. He's very small, so I don't think it's the... I think there were issues there for him, unfortunately. So unable to race due to a, let's call it a mechanical failure. As it is in real racing, sometimes you unfairly lose a race in sim racing as well. The race does go on. Schwarzfahrer currently in third, defending against Flavor Dave, and on a charge for that 5th position in the championship. Looking around the inside for the next corner, then side by side, and he is passed. What a very nice move there, and very good of Schwarzfahrer to let him live. Which is P3 is nice, P4 is very good as well. Boba Fett didn't qualify in P5 though, so very nice job from him. Ulberman in P6 being chased by a very, very rapid Mick Schleifer. Didn't qualify, but he is already in P7. We'll see him move up a lot more, I am certain. Ujek has dropped back a bit. G4 in 9th, and Cavalo currently in the back of everyone that is still driving. We've got lost a couple of races, including Triple L's is also gone, as well as Stepan. So it is a little smaller. Regardless, we do still have battles, and that is very good to see. But a long track like this, it is easy to lose touch from each other. A very difficult track as well, so mistakes can pile up. These two are now going through carousel, very close to each other. Metal Sim playing this very professionally. And then there will be a very cool drag race on the back straight later. See how they tap the brakes to some of these corners just to lead a little bit of time. It's on those curbs, you can see the cars going a little bit diagonal there. Demolish that one, just go straight over it, why not? Now, Metzen missed the apex here a little bit, so we're slightly slower. And Dustin slides through there. Not sure if that is the way to go. Through this corner. I believe that is. As we come up quite soon, I think, to the long back straight. We quickly get the map. As I say, it's quite soon. It's like another minute before we get there. These two are racing very professionally, and it is a proper race. What else do we have? We have Boba Fett very close to Schwarzfahrer. And Flavor Dave is actually not that far ahead of those two. Is definitely something to look out for. Schwarzfahrer is pushing it though, and we see also in the mirror, on the rear view mirror, a Mick Schleifer, a very pacey man, trying to clear these two and go for the lead. Gap is 12 seconds though, so it will not be easy. But then again, this is no Schleifer, you can make that up in one lap, and we have a longer race today as well. Now that looks to be Schwarzfahrer. Oh wait, Schwarzfahrer made a mistake. There you go. Schwarzfahrer made a mistake. Boba Fett is now passed, and Mick Schleifer is still behind. Didn't manage to overtake either of them in that little kerfuffle. But it's better to stay alive, so I can't blame him. But there he goes. He goes side by side, and Mick Schleifer is on the inside for the next little turn, little kink in the straight. Only I don't think that's a braking zone at all. But he will likely be getting this position because there's no contending it. And he is also a little bit faster. Just a little bit. Just enough though. pulled along by the driver ahead as well, and straight into P5 for him. Very good considering he didn't actually qualify though. Dustin is still in the lead. Metal Sim still following very closely. Else do we have Flavor Dave still in third. Little ways ahead, tiny little ways ahead of Boba Fett. Ujak is already in the pits, might be a strategical call. And maybe has a little bit of damage and he can repair that. Everybody does have to stop at least once, though he has already served his stop, and so will Kafalor. He is also coming in right now, after the first lap. You kind of know where they are on the track. Uberman is a little ways behind Schwarzfahrer and G-Foil, a little bit behind that. Quickly, let's look back at the leaders then. Metal Sim has still not lost touch with the leader, Dustin. And Dustin will want to win this race. One thing I know about him is that he absolutely loves Monaco. I think it is his favourite track. But I can say with confidence that if it's not Monaco, it's definitely Nordschleife. Not just because he's German and it's a famous German track, but it is a pure, raw challenge of just driver's skill, general feel of the car. How well can you turn that wheel and control those pedals? In a very simplified way, I'm putting it, but you understand. It is a challenge. It's a challenge that sim racers absolutely adore. Especially because, you know, you're not actually at risk of any grave injury if you make a mistake, which is very possible. Luckily, these drivers are safe from that, so they can push a little bit more. And actually makes the track so much more interesting. Oh, and speak of pushing a little bit more, sometimes a little bit too much, and Dustin hits the wall there, conceding the lead to Metal Sim VR, who, with still an undamaged car, will be looking to build a little bit of a gap. And Dustin will probably have to come in to repair what is broken and consolidate. Try to be clean after that. Flavor Dave currently still in third. Not far behind is Boba Fett though. I feel like Boba Fett has gotten a little bit closer. Schwarzfahrer is behind McSlifer by a decent bit, and McSlifer right behind Boba Fett. So we've got a decent little train here. McSlifer will be looking to clear these two whenever he can. Ulberman is still a little bit up behind, G4 even more behind that, and Wujik and Kafalo have found each other. They both stopped immediately after the first lap. Kafalo, his car looks very damaged. I'm not sure if that is an accurate representation of reality, but I hope not. I hope not for him. I hope he doesn't have a really bad struggle day, because I'm pretty sure if you have been sim racing a lot, and you have been driving the north side for a decent amount, maybe in a race, it may have happened to you where you, on the first lap, made a big mistake. You have to drive all the way around with a damaged car. You go into the pit, you drive out, 3 corners later, you hit another wall. You're doing the same thing again. North Side is very punishing like that, because if your car is damaged, yeah, you may have to carry it for a solid 7, 8, just very damaged, maybe 9 minutes. And it is not a fun experience. What is a fun experience, of course, driving these cars to the limit, the way they are, close to each other. And then a very aesthetic slide from Boba Fett there. I think Flavor Dave was a little bit faster through there, and McSlifer is closing in. That gap is nothing. There is nothing keeping you safe against the red car of Mick Schleifer, who is sending it, absolutely sending it. If you watch closely, you can see him carrying more speed through these corners with more confidence. It looks on the inside, but it's just nothing there, to be fair. That is not really a way you can overtake at North Schleifer. Oh, but he makes a big mistake there. Being put under pressure. I say a big mistake, he's still driving. It was a bit scary, but the car is fine. The driver is still going about the same speed. No harm, no foul, and we keep on driving. Flavor Dave ahead, still doing his thing. He's maybe holding up Boba Fett a little bit. Can't really drive his pace. Boba Fett looks at it, but it's not quite possible yet. Oh, that's a big jump there from Flavor Dave. That will slow him down because he will not be able to control the car correctly through there. If you're in the... Fun fact, if you are in the air with your car, it's impossible to brake. So, he will have carried too much speed. Luckily for him, it is so difficult to overtake through here. So, these drivers will have to be patient. They will have to wait for a bigger mistake or a better opportunity to overtake, whichever comes first. Going through the second banked corner here. Very soon after we will have a long straight, but we don't even have to wait for that maybe, because Flavor Dave made a big enough mistake and Boba Fett is fast. Very nice. Flavor Dave is still there though, but Boba Fett nicely closes the door on him. And P3 it is. Very nice job so far. Let's see what Dustin is doing. We did see him make a mistake earlier. Metal Sim is currently in the lead. We'll be very happy about it. We do see a bunch of drivers appearing, just popping in from the distance because of just how far away they are. The straight is incredibly long. Here we go, Dustin going through the S's at the end of it. Schwedenkreuz, he's one of them. And I think he's lining up, yes, going into the pits. He'll be repairing any damage he has and trying to get Metal Sim on tactics and strategy. Boba Fett is still in P3. Is he going into the pits? He is not. Flavor Dave is following close behind, and Mick Schleifer decides to keep battling these two. Who can blame him? And in fact, Dustin is already out ahead of Boba Fett. Now, on one hand, it's really good because he has a lot of space ahead of him and doesn't need to worry about him, about the other guys. If he was 2 seconds later, it would have been a disaster because it would have meant that he would be held up by Boba Fett, maybe even by Flavor Dave. If you're really unlucky, also Mick Schleifer. But he is ahead. Bad thing is that he may have had to do a little bit of defending. Small difference. It might not even matter. Metal Sim does need to worry though, because Dustin has nothing between him and, well, himself. Will be straight up pace that Dustin will be showing. Boba Fett is keeping up, and that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. What else do we see? Wojciech is far behind, and that is not going to help him. He is in a fight against Schwarzfahrer, who has dropped back a lot. He did make a mistake earlier, but so do that. That is still a big gap between the two of them. They're still on the same lap. They will be for a while, even if one of them decides to stop the car. And we're nearly halfway through the race, only on lap 3. Dustin is pushing this as much as he can through these tricky sections. A very slow corner coming up. Very nicely. Got to get a good exit. Here it's all about speed again. Now Metal Sim, he needs to push. He has something to worry about, and his name is Dustin. Even if he's not directly in his mirrors, he is racing him. And it is for position, in fact, for the win. The one and only man to stand on top of the podium. A little bit further back again. Go to Mick Schleifer, who is looking at Flavor Dave's back. I would like to stop seeing it. These Porsche cars are very nice to look at. They are Porsche cars, of course. But it's much nicer as a racing driver to be looking at a clean bit of road ahead of you. Not getting that right now. Looks around the outside. There's just nothing there. Flavor Dave parries the attack. Let's have it looking again, but there's nothing there. He is so close behind. There's not a safe following distance. But the racing drivers to know what they're doing. Tailgating is not a thing as long as you don't drive it into the car ahead of you. It looks though around the outside. On the right, it's just not enough there for him. But he is looking and he really, really wants that position. He is as close as he can be without crashing Flavor Dave out. Looking around the outside again, it's just not gonna be possible. Flavor Dave parrying him on every opportunity he gets. Is Mick Schleifer gonna get impatient? Is he going to send it? Is he going to make a mistake? We'll have to see. It does mean there's something to worry about for him. I think he needs to be 5th or better, excuse me, in order to get the 100 points in the championship. Be the only one to do that. It is a bit tight to do that. You're going to get 15 points per race for 8 races, which is the same as 4 times 30, which is 120 points at the most. You need to win a lot of them if you even want to have a chance. Looks like it. He's looking though. Oh, he doesn't want to finish 5th. He wants to finish 4th, but I think he is lucky with the way he hit that fence. I think the damage is minimal, if there at all. Fortunately, he took to the grass, he took to the gravel. There was a line of gravel there. And a small crash from Mick Schleifer. Has to stay P5. Got a little impatient, I'm afraid. And this is the result. I noticed that Dustin, I think, has lost a little bit of time to Metal Sim VR. Now, I don't know if that's because a Metal Sim is just so fast, or if it is that Boba Fett has posed enough of a challenge, enough of a threat to Dustin, that it made Dustin drive with the mirrors a little bit too much. Is it too much? That's the real question. Is Metal Sim going to stay ahead? Is he even going to gain time? I think the gap was about 2 to 3 seconds when Dustin came in. If it is anything less, if it's down to 1 second, Dustin will have the opportunity, at least, to re-overtake. That is not certain yet if that's going to happen. I think we've also seen a couple of pit stop errors throughout the season, so no reason that can't be repeated. Let's quickly look at the timings actually, and the reason I do this, there's no penalties. Just to look at the penalties. But we have none, so we can be happy. "18 minutes remaining. We're only on lap 3 still. Metal Sim VR is, I think he's on the long straight. Let me quickly grab the map. He is. I think Dustin is about to enter it with a very, very hungry Boba Fett behind him. See, all the way in the distance up the road is Metal Sim VR, running away as quickly as he possibly can. I do think we lost Cavalo in this lap, unfortunately. I believe Boba Fett may have the benefit of the slipstream down. He is going slightly faster throughout this straight. Will he be able to make a move? He looks. Dustin closes the door, goes straight for the apex. A good way to do it. And through here he goes. Back to the start finish. Over a good exit to start a good new lap. That's Sinfiado got a 7:37. Dustin is slightly faster. Now that is important. I think Metal Sim has lost a lot there at the end. May have messed up straight and twice a little bit. Oh, Gaffalo is still driving, excuse me. It's G4 that has retired. Unfortunately. He's typing in chat as well, so we can hopefully update you on what that means. G-Foil unfortunately got lost because of a disconnection. Very sad. Who actually, looking back a little bit, I think Flavor Dave has finally had to concede a position. This to Mick Schleifer, who finally managed to get the overtake. Look, one moment of impatience, an attempt that didn't quite go the right way. But now, on a second go, he has managed it. Dave Davies is relegated to P5 and Schleifer P4, matching his worst finish this season. But he will be looking for more. Boba Fett is 3-4 seconds ahead of him. That is something he can catch up to. Dustin is also about that much ahead of him. Almost exactly 4 actually. But Dustin has already pitted, and I assume he will not be doing that again. Assuming he doesn't need to. I don't think he needs to. So, what do we call this? It is a really, it's a race for Mick Schleifer to finish third. That is what he will be going for. But mistakes can happen. And Mick Schleifer is an incredibly quick driver. Even over halfway through the race, 15 minutes to go. Already driven 25 minutes. I still don't feel comfortable ruling him out. I do think we'll see a bunch of driver pit at the end of this lap. It's something we'll keep an eye on. See what else we have going on. Quick look through the grid. On the back we have Wujek, who in a fight with Swartfire in the championship, if it is for the 5th position. Not looking to go his way today. Looking a bit far behind. A couple of incidents. Hopefully he can make a recovery. It's gonna take a bit of an error from Swartfire, so maybe not. Maybe we don't hope that. That would be tragic. Gaffalo in P8. Actually, quickly go back here because I noticed the gap is very small. Oh, it's small for a reason because Boba Fett is pushing extremely hard. These two, well, they're competing for pace. I'm not sure if Boba Fett is competing for position. I'm not sure if he is boxed yet. I could believe that he is boxed earlier and that I didn't fully catch it. I know that Dustin has. That much I know. It's such a tricky thing to do though. Overtaking on the Nordschleife tends to be more a case of the driver ahead making a mistake than the driver behind being just extremely good. You need mistakes from the driver ahead, or you need the extremely long straight to work out very well for you. Have a better exit, good slipstream, and shoot right past. That is an option. Not easy, but it is an option. Other options are wait for a mistake. Honestly, it's not easy to overtake through here. If you think it is easy, I'd surely like to see you try. Some with people with similar pace gonna be very difficult. You can see the Boba Fett is pushing very hard because the car struggling to settle really. We do have a mixed life to worry about behind. I do see, oh, maybe that was a bit too much there from Dustin. And not so much as in he might get a warning for that, but maybe I slowed him down a little bit too much. Maybe it's fine. Olfat is very close though. Through the carousel. So much speed through there. They are both pushing each other forwards more than they are slowing each other down. That is interesting. It means that one person is in big trouble and it's Metal Sim. Hasn't stopped yet, still has to. If I'm remembering correctly. I believe I am. I could be wrong, and I'll know it at the end of the race. But as far as I know, he still has the box. I'm expecting him to do that this lap. He might decide to delay once more. And I could see why. I can definitely see why. Because it's almost certain that you're going to start another lap after that. And you kind of want to keep... Well, actually, hang on. Has Dustin made a mistake? I think he has. Boba Fett has just passed him on pure pace. And now Dustin is a P3. Now, in principle, I think a lot of people here still have to box. So, I think he's largely fine if there's a position. But it does mean that he can't straight up catch up to Metal Sim VR. And that might be the blessing that Metal Sim needed. That might be the little bit of luck that makes a race win happen. Uberman and Flavor Dave boxing. Flavor Dave has already exited and Uberman is exiting as we speak. Fastfire, I think, has already boxed. P7. Cafalo on the straight and Ujik is a little bit further behind. He's having fun though, it's fine. I think Metal Sim made a bit of a mistake there because he's lost a lot of time to the drivers behind. Car looks okay though. But it used to be 10, 11 seconds, is now only 8.5. Boba Fett is putting on the pressure. In maybe an indirect way, but pressure there is for sure. Dustin is having to face pressure from a very motivated Mixlifer behind. It would be more than a legendary performance to win this race from the back. I don't think he will do it. I think he still needs to stop Mixlifer. But it would be legendary. Mick Schleifer, you can see exactly what he is seeing, which can be described as two cars in panic, running away, driving away as fast as they can from him. Mick driving the pace he normally does would be completely unbeatable. The 7:33 last lap actually is incredible. Let's not dance around that issue. I do think that if pit stops didn't exist, Schleifer would definitely have a chance to win here under normal circumstances. Mostly from these two drivers ahead. I think Metal Sim, assuming no pit stops, would be too far ahead. I also think Dustin would be too far ahead without pit stops, to be fair. He's already made his, so he's right here in the pack. Yeah, it's interesting what is going to happen with the pit stop of Metal Sim. I think it's going to be in time for it, so I think we'll have another lap. We'll enter lap 6, and because of that also finish it. I am pretty certain. We'll first have to see, and I think he will be driving that through the pit lane, which will let Dustin catch up, will let Boba Fett catch up. However, I think Boba Fett and Mick Schleifer will also have to box, so they will not be catching up as much. Ooh, and we see Mick Schleifer go very wide there. Keeps the car under control very nicely though. It's impressive, but I don't think that was entirely the plan. He's still alive, and that's important. Urban currently P6, been comfortably in P6 or around that position for a while now. As long as he's happy there, we are happy. Also already boxed, so that's good. Valtar in P7, Cavalo in P8 to organise this back-to-back, but with a decent gap between them. Wujek not having a good time today, except he is, because it's Nordschleife and it's just so much fun to drive. Mick Schleifer still looking at the rear of Dustin's car. Will be able to draw it from memory once the race is over. But would rather see nothing ahead of him at all. You see Dustin make a small mistake there. It's bleeding just tenths of seconds. That's all Mick Schleifer needs. Don't need to send the man a second invitation. If he sees a gap, he's going for it. But gaps are rare to come by at the Nordschleife. Wheel in the grass there, that is fine. It's a lot more damaging on something like a Formula 1 car. These cars can handle it apparently. As we see Mick Schleifer also take a little bit to the grass. Seems to be completely fine. They both cut that corner in its entirety. Because the game is happy with that. We are happy. Boba Fett is very close ahead of these two. I think he's yo-yoing them a little bit. But it's not a comfortable lead he has, that's for sure. One mistake and you have lost 2 positions. I'm quickly going to check as it stands. Mick Schleifer will finish the season with 101 points. The 93 he has, plus the 8 he will gain from a P4. He will cross the 100 points mark very nicely. There we see Metal Sim is in the pits. Let's quickly have a look at that, because this one is important. Metal Sim is in the pits. Dustin is already ahead. And there you go. Dustin goes into the lead. Slifer and Boba Fett also into the pits. They will be coming out in one of the orders. Big Slifer is ahead, overtaking Boba Fett in the pits. And now it's P3 and 103 points on the championship virtually. Metal VR is not far behind, and I think, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a straight up lap for the win. Dustin will have to stay ahead of Metal VR. Let's actually quickly check the timings. There are no penalties to worry about. So this is a straight up fight. We're going to experience it in part from Metal Sim's perspective, and we'll be jumping back to this a couple of times before the end of the race. This is something to keep an eye on for sure. They both want this win. Metal Sim hasn't won yet this season, but he has come... I'm not sure if he's come close. I can't quite remember that. But he has shown that he has the pace to win a race, that he has the skills to do that. There's just been a couple of lapses and inconsistencies that have ruined a couple of races for him. Maybe today he could turn it around with a victory here. Even a P2 would be very impressive, however. Dustin ahead has won a race. He's won the Monaco Grand Prix, his favourite race until this point. He's so good around that track, and he's so good around this one as well. It will be entirely deserved if he does win it. But it's not over yet, and it is still a long, long track. This one truly isn't over until it is actually over. He is pushing as hard as he can. It goes a little bit wide there. Mistakes like that, you can't really afford that when you're behind. You need the other driver to do that. Dustin is keeping it squeaky clean. Hitting every apex there is. No mistakes so far. Oh, as I say that, there's a little bit wide there. It appears to be alright. It's a triple apex. He got kind of close on the second one, but it's alright. Ooh, but he makes a mistake there. Bad approach, and the gap is basically gone. Metal Sim could be able, but he has a bad exit, so gap's gonna grow a little bit again. See how it develops. Good exit and through this uphill corner here. Over the crest. Gap stays steady. These two are giving us a show, that's for sure. It's less than half a second as it stands. As I'm going for a late apex there. It's still an apex, so it's not so bad. In fact, it might be a little bit faster than Dustin there. I think he is faster as it stands. Now the track, unfortunately for him, is not very wide, but Dustin is so close, so close. It's incredible. The track is so huge, and these people just stay together for all of it, even with different pit stop strategies. They are straight up fighting for the lead here, and this is not over. This could be decided on the back straight, or when Dustin goes wide, it might be decided earlier then. But he closes the door just in time. Metal Sim VR cannot quite overtake. It has to settle for P2 for now. But it is not over. You can see on the map, they are on the opposite end of the start-finish right now. They'll be starting to make their way back in just a moment. They're still just going to walk away a little bit further. By walk, I mean drive at a rapid speed. Through Carousel then. If either of them messes up, it's very important not to fly out of it. But they don't. Metalsim is keeping up the pressure and the gap is completely non-existent at this point. Might as well have a rope between them. That's kind of the distance that we're looking at here. It's all gonna come down to how clean is Dustin and can Metalsim follow in his footsteps until that moment that mistake comes. Metalsim is pushy, you can tell by how much liberty he takes with the track limits. As much as you might not like that, that's kind of how hard they are pushing, because they both really want this win. If there's one track on the calendar you want to win, it is this one. Nordschleife is such a legendary track. It is a staple of German racing. It is maybe the most famous track after Monaco. But to be honest, it's a better track than Monaco. It is a more challenging track. It is a multi-lap rally. Ooh, and it's a big drift from Metalsim there. But he controls the car and he's still in it. It's still less than a second. And as long as that is the case, I think he stands a chance. But he makes a big mistake there. Takes too much of the grass, and that is game over for Metalsim. Not so much as he has to retire, but that is not going to be a victory for him today. As long as Dustin doesn't do the same thing but harder, he will be secure of a victory. Metalsim unfortunately wanted it too bad and paid for it through the last banked corner. It is soon to be over. Mick Schleifer is also chasing him. Mick Schleifer is very quick. I think he's gained like 3 seconds at the last lap, which is insanity. So he might actually be challenging Metalsim, because I think Metalsim has a lot of damage. That is maybe a mistake he couldn't afford to make, but he has made it. Now he has to live with the consequences. Let's see if that's going to get any worse for him. Mick Schleifer is coming onto the back strip. Boba Fett is joining them there. Flavor Dave, I think, is a little bit further back, but we'll be joining them soon on that long straight. Dustin has had an excellent race. A very good season as well. He's been up there fighting. Maybe not directly with Mick Schleifer, but he has won the Monaco Grand Prix before. And he has secured a podium in every single race he has joined and finished. Only 2 races he didn't finish. Actually, I think it was a disconnect in the 3rd race. DNS registered there. But today it is a 2nd victory for him in the books. Dustin goes home as the winner of the race around the Nordschleife. Metalsim has to settle for 2nd, unfortunately, after the late mistake. Schleifer, though, P3, still parried by Metalsim. Boba Fett has to settle for P4. Flavor Dave a little bit further behind, but already past the back straight. Has had a very nice race today, very consistent, and a well-deserved P5. Let's see if there's any more penalties to worry about. There are not. Well, Flavor Dave will be 5th, and Ulberman is coming home with a slow, well, not necessarily slow actually. If you're 20 seconds behind the lead, you're doing fine here. It's a little bit more still, but I think he's done fine here. A P6, steady, and Schwarzfahrer close behind actually. A good run at the end. P7 it is for him. Caffalo, currently in P8, had a rough race today. I don't think it's as rough as the driver behind him, Ujek, but rough nevertheless. But will be coming home in P8, provided he does not park his car prematurely into a wall. I think he will be fine going through the last few S's. Just one more apex to go of the last corner of the track. across the start-finish straight, and he takes it home. And I believe somebody else retired, it's fine. So Wujek, who still needs to finish, enters the last start-finish right now. Rough race for him. I think from the very start was not quite what he wanted, but he has kept driving and he is going to finish it. That is commendable on its own. As he finishes up this one through the last fast corner, and now through the S's, braking all the way through into the slower corners here. That's a left one, a right-hander to close off the lap. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have been watching, thank you so much. This series has been a joy to cast, and as Wujek comes across the line, it is finally over. 8 races done. Dustin wins the Nordschleife race. Mick Schleifer has won the championship with 103 points at the end, out of a possible 120. Very nicely done from both of those drivers. Metals VR proving that he has the pace, but unfortunately Dustin was just a little bit too fast. Gave it his all, but it wasn't quite enough. And everybody that joined, everybody who've had the pleasure to commentate throughout this series, thank you so much for racing with us, the SSR. If you have been watching, thank you so much for watching on my YouTube, on my Twitch. Don't forget to follow. I will probably be switching to slightly different content on my Twitch. Might stream a little more regularly, but it will be no classic days for now. Maybe in the future I will be back to cast these drivers once more. What a brilliant race today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to see you in the future. Goodbye.